This community is not just corporate.
So we're all imperfect. We're all doing our best. And I don't claim to be any kind of parenting genius, but we can all sort of, just like our kids, we're not going to be perfect. We just want to aim in the direction of being the most effective we can to really set our kids up for happy, healthy, successful lives. That's where I'm coming from. So here's our Q&A. Go ahead and introduce yourself if you like in the chat. Let me know your athlete's sport and level if I don't already know. And then I don't think you're really going to need anything to write today, but let's start, as I like to start with the kids, with OPT. So that means we take a breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. Come into this moment. Really be totally present and find one pleasant thing in your immediate environment, internal environment or external environment. I always have little doodads left on my desk by my children that are pleasant sometimes, unpleasant sometimes, depending. So I looked through the post that Suzanne posted earlier this week about what is your biggest struggle as a sport parent, and what they pretty much all boiled down to was helping kids navigate the pressure of impending competition and potential or actual disappointment. So there were kids not moving up, not reaching their goals, not getting skills in time, setbacks from injury, kids right on the edge of will they or won't they. And this is a very stressful time. October and November, every single year, kids' skills go haywire. It is completely par for the course. So the first thing I'll say is they are not alone. There are, half the team in every gym is in this situation where they are pushing to be perfect. They're rushing their progressions. They're trying to catch up and make it because of these deadlines. And they're, maybe they have a deadline for the season, but they think, oh, well, if I'm not a level 9 by this age, I won't reach my college goals. I mean, I have never met a more stressed out bunch of 13-year-olds in my whole life than high-level gymnasts. So, of course, here we are parenting these little stress balls who are watching their dream slip through their fingers is what it feels like. That's very dramatic, right? You're 13, you have no idea, but that's what they feel. So that's what a lot of the people were talking about. So that's what I'm going to talk about first. So I'm taking this concept from child psychologist, Dr. Becky Kennedy. I don't know if anyone follows her. She has a book called Good Inside. I really love where she approaches parenting from. So I'm going to share her example here. So she gives this example that your child's mental schoolyard has many benches in it that they can sit on. So you imagine that their experience has a lot of benches, and they can sit on the I got left out bench. They can sit on the I didn't move up bench. They can sit on the I got injured bench. And those benches are all part of their experience. So the thing that she wants to point out is that if we prevent our kids, be like, no, don't sit on that bench. No, we're going to fix it. We're going to get you a better bench to sit on. Then the next time that pops up, they won't know how to handle it. So if they've already sat on the I got injured bench before, then when they sit on it again, they know, oh yeah, this is just a matter of time. I know I do my imagery. I stay positive. I work with my coaches. I go to PT. They know how to sit on that bench. If they go to the I didn't get moved up bench again, then they're like, okay, I didn't get what I wanted, but this happened to me before and it actually worked out really well. There's a girl on our live training who got, I'm going to say, quote unquote, demoted to Excel one year. And just a couple of weeks ago, she was talking to a girl who was like, I might have to get demoted to Excel. And I was like, hey, you've been there, right? So this girl pops on and she's like, this is the best thing that ever happened to me. I got so much confidence. I switched gyms. Now I'm competing level 8. Like she just was she was suffering and struggling. She had this experience where she moved to Excel for a season. She won, she got medals, she worked through her skills, and now she's back on track exactly where she wanted to be. So because she sat on the I got moved to Excel bench, she knew how to handle that with a friend. So what this can look like is the I got left out bench might become the I didn't get invited bench when you're older. Imagine that you're not picked for one of the bridesmaids when you're in your late teens, early 20s, but you've been there And you know what, that's okay. That just shows me who my true friends are. So you have this resilience. The I didn't move up bench becomes the I didn't get into my dream school bench, or the I didn't get the job I wanted bench. And you can look back and go, you know what? That actually worked out for the best. I actually have this story. I didn't get into UC Berkeley because of some mistakes I made when I was first in college. When I was 17, I got a D in art. I ended up on academic probation. These are all fun facts. Academic probation in the University of California system. So I quit, was like, this is too hard. I can't do it. Gave up and spent a few years just trying to be self-employed and trying to do all this stuff. And then I went back, I got straight A's in community college. I worked my way back up and I was like, I'm going to Berkeley. I'm going to transfer to Berkeley and I'm going to finish my degree there. And I did everything right. I did everything right. I literally had straight A's except for one B in biology, which my therapist at the time said, that's a victory for your perfectionism. So I didn't get in because I was still on academic probation in that system, even though all of my current grades for the past 5 years were A's except for the one B. So what I did was I actually drove from north of San Francisco down to Santa Cruz, which is like 3 hours, it was like twice a week for summer school to retake that class. So I was like, I'm retaking this art class that I got a D in that's going to get me off academic probation, that's going to make me able to get into my dream school. So I worked so hard. All summer, I got an A in the class. The art teacher wrote me this amazing review that was like, let her into Berkeley. She wrote me this incredible letter of how hard of a worker I was. And I missed the deadline. The deadline was before the summer school started. So after I had cleaned that up and got that A, I still couldn't get in. And so I had these options, was like, okay, I can either just be so devastated, or I can wait another 6 months or another year and apply again, or I can do something different. And so I did. I applied to a different school. It was like the doors flew open. I ended up in there in this incredible psychology program at this different California school. And it was the perfect place for me. And I made these connections that helped me in my career today. So all that to say, I didn't get into my dream school bench is something that now I get to look back and go, you know what? If I don't get in, it's because there's a different direction for me. There's somewhere else that I need to be. And I'm not seeing it right now. So that's where we want our kids to be able to sit on the I didn't move up bench, so that then when they don't get into the dream school, they can go, you know what? That other college is looking kind of good, actually. And there's a lot of benefits to it. It's smaller, it's, whatever it is. I didn't get the job I wanted. Well, I wonder if there's a job that is better for me. So we want them to have these skills as they go into their life. We see their life as like, if they don't get this, then they're going to be devastated. Okay, but yeah, we don't see the whole picture here. The I got injured bench becomes the unexpected life events happen bench. And you can sit on that bench and go, okay, life got lifey. I've been in situations like this before where unexpected things happened and I got support. I got resilient. So we've got the I won the state meet bench, which becomes okay, Luna, goodness gracious. Got an itchy lady over here. The I won the state meet bench becomes the navigating getting a promotion graciously when your friend didn't bench. You got hired and they didn't. You got the promotion and they didn't. How do you handle that graciously? Well, you know how to do that because when you won the state meet and your friends were jealous, you sat on that bench and you have experience with it. The I lost my confidence bench becomes I'm scared and I need to ask for help bench. Because if you lost your confidence, you lost your skills, you learned how to take baby steps, you learned how to relate to yourself in a more positive way, you learned how to be patient, you learned that you needed help and to actually communicate about your needs, then when you lose your confidence or you get scared as an adult, because that happens, you're walking down a street that doesn't feel right, you're like, ooh, I'm going to go ahead and change this up, I'm going to ask for help, I'm going to ease into this one. Because you've been on that bench before and you have experience. The bad grade bench becomes my boss didn't like my work bench. I had times in college where I remember a 77 on a statistics test and I literally cried in class. I was so mad. I had to put my sunglasses on. I was so mad that I did not get and it turns out I had the highest grade in the class with the 77, but I was so furious. I remember it crystal clear because I was so emotional. Well, there are going to be times when your boss is like, no, this is not it. And you can go, okay, remember that time I got really mad and then I survived. And then I realized actually, this is going to help me get better. So after that, I got a study buddy who this kid did not understand anything in the class. So I was like teaching him, which reinforced it to me. I ended up still with the highest grade in the class with an A-, which I was mad about. But that actually fired me up to have this, really, really good comprehension in this class. So your challenge as a parent is to not take their resilience from them by trying to make their at a better bench or trying to scoot them to a different bench. Like, oh, let's sit on the it's gonna be fine bench. It's okay. Sit with me on the, everything's good. We're not sad, or we're gonna force it, or any of that. You want to be with them. So go and sit with them on that bench, and don't try to change the bench or try to get them to move to a different bench. Let them be there, gaining the experience and the skills that is going to teach them as they go into their adult life. So you take I want to prepare my child for tough times, not protect her approach. And that is so tough, because all we want to do is protect our babies, and we don't want to see them sad, and we don't want to see them on that bench of heartbreak. But my first love broke my heart at 17, and I was devastated. I mean, beyond. It was part of the reason I failed out of college was because of this heartbreak. And then I had another breakup, and it felt like I was going to die. If this breakup happens, I will die, because it was so painful the first time. But then I didn't. I sat on that breakup bench again. And then that gave me this amazing perspective of, you know what? I'd rather be alone than with somebody who is not ideal. Because I'd sat on those benches and was like, guess what? Heartbreak didn't kill me. Loneliness didn't kill me. I can handle both of those things. So therefore, I can go out into this world and not be afraid. And then I was like, I don't even need a man. I got a truck. I got a dog. I got a saw. I am good. And boom, I meet my husband. But I'm prepared, because I don't need somebody, because I'm so terrified of heartbreak. Like, no, I can handle this. I've been on that bench twice. So therefore, I can be myself. I don't have to be worried about getting my heart broken all the time. So we want them to be prepared. No, I don't want my girls to be heartbroken like that. Oh my God. But if it means that they're at the place where they're totally okay in their skin and they can attract a person into their lives that's going to treat them well, I mean, will it have been worth it? So don't take the resilience from them. Think about how often in life they might feel that way. That thing that you're afraid will happen. Think about how many times in their life they might feel like they fell short or life wasn't fair. The more they sit on that bench, the more that they're going to be able to hold their head up high and go, I've done this. This isn't going to kill me. Remember that they're building experience, skills, familiarity, and support for these future moments. And we don't want to take that away from them. I know, it's so hard. Okay. Controllables. So our job, things we can control, it's limited. We can sit next to them on the bench and be like, buddy, this is so hard. I love you. This is so hard. Just be there with them. Let them cry. Let them be upset. Listen. Don't fix it. They don't want you to fix it. They're fixing it. They're working on that. Don't add pressure. Don't remind them about deadlines or ask for progress reports. I think you guys are all on top of that by now. That's the last thing we want to do in October or November or December. Manage your own feelings. So if you're stressed, sit on that bench and be like, wow, I'm stressed out because my kid might be upset bench. Here I am. I'm surviving it. You take care of your own, you do your self-care. You go for a run. You call a friend and vent. You post in our group. Find a way to sit on that bench and be okay. You don't have to switch your own bench either, because this is helping you to be a better parent when their next disappointment happens. It's part of life, unfortunately. Model a growth mindset. So that means that you're showing up to their struggle, believing your own struggle. Wow, I'm struggling with parenting today. This is a good challenge that's going to make me better. Today, when I'm yelling at my kids in the car because they're throwing brushes at each other, not brushing their hair, not putting their shoes on, and I'm just like, I had like this out of body experience looking at myself being like, this is not the way to respond to this, Rebecca. This is not the way. So I look at this challenge and go, okay, when they get home from school, I'm going to repair it. I'm going to apologize for the way that I handled it. And I'm going to let them know what I'm going to do differently, because that's my bench, is that I'm frustrated at my kid's bench. And if I can learn to not just have that mindful experience of this is not going well, but to stop it and go, okay, how can I be the best me in this moment? Not change them necessarily, but like we're all part of it. So my own growth mindset around my parenting, that I can be better. I can always be better. Not that I need to be perfect, but I can start here and go, yep, I got impatient. Okay, how can I be a little more patient tomorrow? And then just sit on the bench with her. Let her be there, let her be in that heartbreak or injured bench and just be there, because you connecting with them in the reality of the disappointment or the stress or the pressure allows them to have just a little more resilience, knowing that, if I really try and I fail, my mom's going to catch me. I know it. So I can do this, because they know that failure bench is not a fun place to hang out, but pushing and trying from a place of, I want this, not I need this, it risks falling short. It's just the way it is. So if they know that you're sitting on that bench ready to catch them, then they can go for it a little bit more. So what do you do on that bench? You listen. You listen. It's just like we talk about all the time. You repeat their words back to them. You let them know you understand. You want to understand. You accept that this is hard and this is an opportunity. And you don't have to try to put them on the growth mindset bench either. You don't have to. But you can look at this and go, this is hard and this is an opportunity. So you can have both at the same time. Just like I can have anxiety in my chest and calm tingle in my fingers at the same time. I can have worries in my mind and feel planted on the ground at the same time. I can feel like this is hard and this is an opportunity at the same time. So allow that all to be present. Share an experience that when you've had where you felt similarly. So that's like what I was doing, sharing my experience, with heartbreak and not getting into my school. So those are the types of things I can share with my kids and be like, it felt like the end of the world. I know. Absolutely. That it 100% felt like the end of the world. And it felt that way for a whole year. And I'm so sorry that you're feeling that way. It's the worst. And then they can go, oh, you've been there. That's my power with these kids is that I've been there. I've been on that beam and I have frozen up and I have cried and I have not communicated and I have given up on myself, all of that stuff. So I'm not going to look at them and be like, oh my gosh, you froze up on the beam. You go like, yeah, I made those choices too, or life happened to me too. And it was so unfair, felt so unfair that you just are there with them on that bench. Let them have their feelings. Just let them have their feelings. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to get them into the positive. You can just let them have them. And then, so here's a quick growth mindset check for you. So just give yourself a little like mental tally. I'm going to give you 8 things. 8. So you see how many out of these 8 you say yes to. Okay. And so if you say yes to all of these, you have a perfect growth mindset. I don't intend, we probably don't have perfect scores on this, but do you embrace lifelong learning? Yes or no? Or do you feel like I'm done learning? Learning's hard. I've been in those moments where I'm like, I've had about enough life lessons for 1 year, please. But embrace lifelong learning. I believe intelligence or talent can be increased, but I'm not just stuck with what I've got. I believe that effort leads to mastery, not just luck or talent. I believe failures are just temporary setbacks. What if our kids really believed that? This is just a stepping stone on my path to greatness, even if it feels painful. I view feedback as a source of valuable information. There was a time in my life not too long ago where I was terrified of criticism, terrified of, this imposter syndrome of I'm not good enough and people are going to figure that out. But the more that you can take feedback, the more powerful you can be and the more competent you can be, which feels that's that true self-esteem. I willingly embrace challenges. Parenting challenges, gymnastics challenges, whatever the challenge is, I embrace it as something that's going to be what makes me better. I view others' success as a source of inspiration. This is something that came up in the group a couple of times where, parents would see their kids making progress and they look over at the other kid who's making more progress and they go, oh man. Someone with a growth mindset looks at that as a source of inspiration. Look at that kid. My kid's heading that way. It's going to be so cool. Instead of going, oh no, I'm jealous. I'm jealous of that parent who doesn't have to listen to their kid cry in the car. Oh, but your kid who's crying in the car is going to be a tough cookie when she's 22. Let me tell you, she already is. I know it. I view feedback as an opportunity to learn. Okay. So the mindset challenge. Okay. Extra credit for any of you who did not get a perfect score on our mindset check, which I hope if you're human, you didn't, you've got something to work through. Go through the mindset challenge with your athlete. So she's writing a list, you're writing a list, and you're doing it on your own. Maybe it's your work performance. Maybe you're doing it on your parenting, but you're going through the challenge alongside her. Not every kid's going to want to do this. And you're like, Mom, no, I'm not doing that. But I know my kids would be like, if you're doing it, I'll do it. So that can be a really great just a little mindset infusion. You can just improve your growth mindset and bond with your kids. So if they're open to that, I always like to throw this out as an idea. Okay, so that's that for our dealing with disappointment. And then this is the second topic I'm going to talk about today. There's a parent who reached out to me and said that there's a troubling coach who seems to be targeting her athlete. So I'm going to kind of go through the background information and then give my suggestions here. And I'm also really open to you guys, the parents, sharing experience on this too, because maybe you've been in a similar situation. And also even after the fact, if you're watching the recording, put in your suggestions, because this is one that we can really use kind of the collective mind on. So here's the struggle. This troubling coach is targeting her athlete, or it seems like it, leaving her out of team rewards, mocking her in a baby voice, giving double standards about recognizing skill accomplishments, gossiping loudly with other coaches. Her athlete doesn't feel supported or liked or valued or cared about. Other behaviors. This coach is making fun of others by comparing them to this athlete and her mental blocks, using demeaning comments, notifying that kids will be sent home for crying or have to call home for crying, worried that the coach will take it out on the athlete if the parent has a meeting with the coach. Okay, so here's the question. How to script out an entrance point and hopeful outcomes from a meeting scheduled between mom and coach. All right, so I'm going to go a slightly different route than I do in the parent course. In the parent training, the Parenting the Fearful Athlete, session 5, I talk about how to have a constructive conversation with a coach who's just, being a little bit ineffective. This is a different scenario. This is abuse. So this meets the hallmarks of emotional abuse that should be reported to Safe Sport. I'm going to read a little bit from Safe Sports policy here. Emotional misconduct is a form of abuse where tactics of intimidation, humiliation, and verbal abuse are used to gain control of another person. It involves a prolonged and repeated pattern of behavior that occurs when a power imbalance exists, such as a coach-athlete relationship. In many cases, emotional abuse affects more than just the person who is the direct target, and it may also create a sense of fear among parents, teammates, and colleagues. In cases of emotional misconduct as either a victim or a bystander, those involved may fear retribution. That's mom, worried that there will be retaliation if she has this meeting, which could lead to unreported abuse. So they don't want to report it because they don't want to make it worse. So it's not getting reported. Gymnasts who have been the subject of abusive coaching practice may exhibit signs of depression, grief, anxiety, and uncontrollable crying. When in the presence of the abuser, they may feel as if they're walking on eggshells and may say things such as, "I don't know what I did wrong." Okay, so if this resonates with you, then you're in the presence of okay. So Amy says, she's been there. Yeah. We're in the presence of emotional abuse. So meeting the coach is not always the answer. So I talked with Shelba Waldron, who is the person who is like the liaison for information between USAG, Safe Sport, and parents and coaches. And so she recommended, if you do suspect that there's a legitimate concern of retaliation or harm to the child, that you might not want to go to the coach. So if your gut says going to this coach is actually going to cause legitimate harm to my child, then that's good information. There's a difference between the coach is going to take it out on my kid, which then, should be reported. That retaliation behavior is a Safe Sport violation. But trust your gut. If you feel like this is just like, if I go to this coach, it's not going to go well. It's going to get turned around on me. We've got, narcissistic tendencies and they're just going to, get defensive. Go through session 5 of the Parenting the Fearful Athlete course first, just to give it, take a look at what you might do in a meeting and feel out what that could be like. But if you suspect that there's harm for your child, then go to the owner and share your observations, or go to the management, plus your research on USAG Safe Sport policies on emotional abuse. So I have a link that I'll give to you. Okay, good. Amy said they went to the owner. Awesome. Ask for the owner's plan to remedy the situation to keep the athlete safe. And you don't want to come from a place of emotion. I know that is so hard. You want to come from a place of facts. These are the things I have observed. This is what's happening. This is the date, this is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm seeing in my home. I'm seeing that she is showing these signs of being emotionally abused, this uncontrollable crying, the anxiety that's kicked up. She's been depressed. So it all looks like it tracks with this. So you're just letting them know. And then you come with specific requests. That's always good. Examples. You request that the coaches refrain from any behavior that is outlined in the USAG Safe Sports Methods of Abuse section. So no mocking, no humiliation, no name calling, no demeaning comments or double standards for athletes. And ask that they educate their coaches on child development, growth mindset, emotion management. If they're putting into the parent handbook that you are going to be sent home for crying, that's something you bring to the owner and go, this is not the, based on research on how to help children, this is not the way. Punishing kids for crying is actually quite counterproductive. What we instead want to do is create a system where they can communicate before the tears start. So you want to have that brainstorming, and you're not going in, guns blazing. You're going, hey, let's sort this out. Let's work together. Let's collaborate. So let them know that if these behaviors don't stop, you will be making a report to Safe Sport and removing your child from the facility. Kind of like the research. This is a good thing to check out because it shows you what Safe Sport considers the parameters around emotional abuse. So I hate that this is such a common question from so many kids that show up afraid. And a lot of the time, one of the reasons why pervasive mental blocks happen is because of abuse. And you'll look at it and be like, well, it's not like they're traumatized, but they have these like small T traumas that add up. And it actually changes the brain. It switches them into survival mode rather than being, thriving and trying to achieve. So that's when kids start to really shut down and go totally into survival mode. That's like when they're losing skills on all events. It means that they're sensing a threat to their emotional safety. And it could be the pressure coming from themselves. Like that's enough to do it, but you definitely want to consider, is it time to go gym shopping? And I always quote Jonathan Horton, who's a multiple Olympic medal winner, who says, if your coach doesn't listen to you, get a better coach, period. He's like, I know it's controversial, but if your coach doesn't listen to you, get a better coach. And of course, I would love to, be the change where you can go to the owner and then they can educate coaches and coaches can get better. And I know a Safe Sport complaint can kind of light a fire sometimes under owners and under coaches' butts. It can. So don't be afraid to do that, because then if somebody retaliates against that, that just goes further into that file with Safe Sport that we made the report, and then this behavior actually increased. So that's going to increase the chances that they're going to be found, to be abusive. So just if that's happening, it just goes into the file. But if it was me, I'd be like, let's get out of here. Okay, so Amy says, I went to the meeting with specific examples and asked him to just be more aware. He watched practice for months. It seemed like they weren't doing anything, but in retrospect, the management really paid attention. 2 weeks ago, the coach was let go. I love it. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see what happens with Sierra when she has more nurturing coaching. I just can't even wait. These like super capable kids, when they are nurtured, it just like gives me goosebumps thinking about what's possible for them. Okay. She says it was a 6-month process. Yeah. And I'm proud of you for being so, for standing your ground and being like, she wants to be here, and really like going through that process of speaking up and demonstrate, like modeling for her the voice, having a voice and standing up for yourself. Yeah. So there's some patience involved and standing your ground, modeling that you have a voice and that you should have a voice. It's important to advocate for yourself and for your child. So so if you guys have other questions, you can put them in now, or you can always put them in the group. Suzanne and I are in there answering those questions, supporting you. And you guys know, the community itself and all of the parents are just, it's gold in there. So please lean on us, vent, whatever you need. You can guarantee somebody's been there. So, all right, if there aren't any other questions, then we'll wrap it for today. Thank you so much for being here. For those of you on the recording, thanks for checking it out. And I will see you guys around very soon. Bye.